Hi guys, and welcome back to What Fuels a Dancer. My name is Leah and I am a professional ballet dancer and a certified nutrition health coach. In my last video, I talked about dancers becoming vegan and vegetarian. What are the pros and cons, who should and shouldn't try it, and how we can involve intuitive eating into the whole process. Ultimately, you get to decide what you want to eat based on your personal preference and what makes your body feel its best. So if you've not seen that last video, I will link it up here. Be sure to watch it before this one. And today we're going to be talking about plant-based sources of the different macronutrients, which are carbohydrates, protein, and fat. And then I'm also going to go over some basic meal and snack ideas for dancers that are plant-based. So if you want to learn more about plant-based foods that can fuel your dancing all day long, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and keep watching. This video is for education and entertainment purposes only. Everybody is different with different nutritional needs and preferences when it comes to food. So it is always best to speak to your nutrition professional like a dietitian, nutritionist, or health coach about your unique case. Going plant-based can have some unique challenges involved, like recreating your favorite dishes, grocery shopping, and cooking in a new way. On top of all of that, making sure that you're still balancing all of your meals and snacks. So if you're going plant-based, I would highly recommend talking to a nutrition professional who can kind of help guide you along this process and make sure that you are getting all the nutrition that you need. Now, being vegan or vegetarian isn't inherently restricting any macronutrients. Of course, there are variations of that do, but I am in this video and in the last video just talking about a balanced approach to going plant-based. I always encourage dancers to strive for nutritionally balanced, well-rounded, and nutritionally dense meals and snacks, regardless of if you are eating animal products or not. I'm not going to go too much into detail of the role of macronutrients in our bodies. I already have a video series on that, so I will link it up here as well as they will be in the description box down below. Alright, so let's talk about the individual macronutrients. First up is carbohydrates, and carbohydrates are really important as fuel for our body. Carbohydrates also make sure that our bodies don't start using our muscles as fuel. Fat can also play a role in this, but it's really important for any athlete or dancer to have carbohydrates in their meals and snacks. And then carbohydrates also provide fiber, which is really important for our digestive system. So there are two different types of carbohydrates that I am going to talk about. And the first ones are simple carbohydrates, which are for plant-based sources, primarily fruit. These are really great at delivering quick energy and are great to be paired with protein and fat sources so that your meals and snacks have more staying power in terms of your hunger and fullness level. Simple carbohydrates like fruit are really great for quick energy for any plant-based dancer. It's especially important to combine with other fat and protein sources to make sure that your energy levels stay stable and that you don't get hungry too quickly after you've had a snack or meal. And then complex carbohydrates are really important for that long sustained energy. So these are in sources like whole grains, which can be composed of oats, barley, quinoa, buckwheat, brown rice, and whole wheat. There's so many sources of whole grains out there. Vegetables are also in this category, anything from leafy greens to cruciferous vegetables, root vegetables, and starchy vegetables like potatoes and sweet potatoes. And then for any plant-based dancer out there, beans and legumes are an important source of complex carbohydrates as well as protein. We'll talk a little bit more about protein in a second. So these are foods like black beans, chickpeas, which are in hummus, split peas, lentils, whether brown or red lentils. And so those are all really important to incorporate throughout the day. Lastly, refined carbohydrates like some crackers and cereals, white bread, white pasta, and white rice can all be really important sources of quick energy for dancers. Because they've had the fiber taken out of them, our body uses them a lot like simple carbohydrates, where they digest really quickly and they can burn really quickly and immediately for fuel. So they're also best to have with another sort of complex carbohydrate, protein, or fat for staying power. And these are really great to pack as a part of your snack or meal during the dance day. And next up is protein, which is really important for dancers to consume. Proteins are the building blocks of our body, and then they also help with really important chemical reactions in our body. Protein is really important for growing and maintaining muscle, as well as providing framework for many of the different aspects of our joints. It also helps us with fluid balance, among so many other things. And a lot of people think that adequate protein is really hard to get on a plant-based diet, but this really isn't true. There's so many sources of plant foods that have a lot of protein in them. So there's beans and legumes, which again are like black beans, chickpeas, lentils, and peas. There's also nuts and seeds, so things like almonds, peanuts, hemp seeds, and chia seeds. Protein is even in whole grains like whole wheat and quinoa. Certain veggies can even have protein like kale, broccoli, and some sea vegetables. Things like edamame, tempeh, and tofu are also really great sources of protein for plant-based dancers. And then there's also fortified foods like protein powders, protein bars, crackers, and cereals, and plant-based milks and yogurts that have protein added to them for plant-based eaters. And of course, if you're vegetarian, eggs, cottage cheese, milk yogurt, or whatever dairy yogurt you eat, and also cheese can be an important source of protein. Protein is really important to have throughout the day, especially when you are at the studio, but it's especially important to replenish it at the end of the day to make sure that your body can repair itself and get you prepared for the next day. And then the last macronutrient is fat, which is a really important source for our brain health, for our hormones. It also helps us absorb certain vitamins, and it helps to make sure that our body stays insulated and at the proper temperature. There's so many great sources of plant fats, including nuts and seeds, like what I mentioned earlier. So walnuts, cashews, almonds, hemp seeds, chia seeds, sesame seeds, pumpkin seeds, there's so many. Flax seeds are also a great source. We also find fat in plant-based products like avocado, olives, olive oil, other plant-based oils, and even coconut and cacao. So yes, even chocolate can be a source of fat in your diet. And also, if you're vegetarian, sources like eggs and dairy products can also provide some of that nutritional fat in your diet. With fat, you might find it easier for your body to digest when you aren't dancing in the middle of the day. That doesn't mean that you can't incorporate some sources of it during the day, but to especially focus on getting fat in before and after you dance. So let's tie all of those together and talk about some options when it comes to plant-based meals and snacks for dancers. So first off is breakfast. And some of the things that I like to have are oatmeal with some sort of fruit on top, as well as some nut butter and some seeds. There's also smoothies, which is really great for simple carbohydrates with like banana and fruit, and then also adding some nuts and seeds in there as well for staying power. Also, you could have a tofu scramble with veggies and toast. You can have toast with avocado or peanut butter. You could have a plant-based or dairy yogurt parfait with granola and fruit. There's so many options. And then for lunch, having something like a quinoa salad or a pasta salad, a hummus and veggie wrap, some sort of sandwich, or rice and edamame are some really great options. For snacks, it's important to focus on things that are easily digestible and something that you can eat really quickly in between your short breaks. So I like having some sort of fruit with nut butter, trail mix, dried fruit, crackers and hummus, veggies and hummus, crackers and avocado. If you eat, if you're vegetarian, having some hard-boiled eggs or some yogurt or cottage cheese, or you could have some sort of protein bar, protein shake, or even just like a simple soup can help to make sure that you keep your energy levels up. And then finally for dinner, we want to focus on replenishing our energy that we've used throughout the day. So really making sure that we're getting in complex carbohydrates, protein, and fat. And a lot of times after we've been dancing all day, we might crave a more nourishing and hearty meal. So some of the things that I like to turn to are things like curries, stews, plant-based chilies, having a plant-based burger, some sort of burrito bowl or other nourish bowl that has whole grains, and I incorporate some sort of tofu or tempeh, having some sort of yummy sauce drizzled over it with some roasted veggies. Something that's really fueling and hearty really helps to make sure that I replenish my body with calories and nutrients. So if you've never gone completely plant-based before, it might be a transition to find what foods work best for you, where to find them in the grocery store, as well as how to cook different foods. Again, it's always important to find balance when it comes to food. So if going vegetarian or vegan feels too restrictive, or it feels like you're starting to develop food rules and have unhealthy eating behaviors and habits, then maybe it's not the best thing for you to choose. And that's okay. You need to focus on what fuels your body the best. And also sometimes changing what you eat, especially if it's a way that you've never eaten before, might cause your body's things like digestion and energy levels to feel a little bit off. So you might find it helpful to slowly ease into eating differently. So whether this means just slowly swapping out beans for meat, or starting with one meal, making it plant-based a day, and then slowly transitioning it to all of your meals and snacks over time. And if you have any other questions for me, make sure to leave a comment down below. This is something that I have a lot of experience with, as well as I love talking to dancers about the right way to go about it. And of course, make sure you are following me on Facebook and Instagram at What Fuels a Dancer. Usually most of the photos of my food that I post are plant-based because that's what I eat, so you can find a lot of inspiration there. Also, if you sign up for my newsletter, I always include a recipe in there that is usually plant-based. And I will see you guys all in a few weeks in my next video. Bye guys.